Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we've got quite a few of the folks in attendance this morning. Welcome everyone to today's Friday CAD Chat. The discussion will be in the 2016 area, what's new, and the focus today will be on the PDM products. The reason I wanted to do this is there's been some pretty big changes in this PDM product lineup and changes for the future. So I wanted to try and just make sure this was expressed, everyone's aware of the new changes, and what may be coming for you in the next couple of years, in a couple of releases. Okay, once again, my name is Jeremy Colvin. I'm Application Engineer for Progression Technologies. My information, email address is available to you there. Later on, towards the end of the PowerPoint, we'll see also how you can contact support at Progression Tech, and if you need any assistance, please feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. For the webinar, once again, just a reminder for many of you who may be joining us for the first time, there's a panel there, of course, that you're probably seeing. You can collapse that down using that orange arrow, make it a little bit less visible. There's also a panel in there for questions, and if you'd like, you can ask some questions through that, and we'll try and address those towards the end. Ask them whenever you like through the panel, and I'll just address those questions as we get towards the end of the presentation, okay? So it's the webinar control panel. So once again, as I wanted to address the major changes that are taking place recently with the 2016 release, SOLIDWORKS Enterprise PDM actually is no more. It's now called SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional, and there's a new product called SOLIDWORKS PDM Standard. And that's why I wanted to open our discussions with some of the changes that are going on involving that. And we'll get into some what's new on PDM, if you will. Standard and professional for that matter, as we get towards the end of the presentation as well. Show you some of the what's new. So first of all, there's been a name change. SOLIDWORKS Enterprise PDM is now SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional. This is perhaps to integrate with some more consistency amongst the product lines, such as SOLIDWORKS Professional, Premium, Standard, and so on, where we see a good, better, best type scenario. It fits in with the product line here, making PDM Standard products more accessible to standard users, shall we say. It's part of the professional and premium package now, much like Workgroup PDM is, and will continue to be for a short while. I'll touch on that in a second. And Enterprise PDM sort of, I don't want to say scared off some customers, but did perhaps give the wrong impression to some folks and maybe felt like it was overkill for what they might need. In some cases, it may have overpromised what some folks wanted to have accomplished with their PDM implementations. So what's nice about this is that both of these products, Standard and Professional, include the licenses, CAD Editor, Contributor, and Viewer 5-pack, as well as PSL. So it's important to understand that the Enterprise PDM provides all those standard products and licenses. And introducing the SOLIDWORKS Standard product, it's important to understand that it's much aligned with the Workgroup PDM product. Who is it for? It's for those small workgroup implementations, maybe single site locations, small group, maybe 5 to 10 people, who want to manage and have some version management, revision control, and things like that. The main need here, understand, is to manage the SOLIDWORKS and perhaps draft site DWG file types. And I wanted to note for you, for those of you who currently have Workgroup PDM and so on, that the alignment of the SOLIDWORKS PDM Professional and Premium serial numbers for activation and any availability for any of the standalone Workgroup PDM products, for that activation and serial number activation, that's coming in early November. So understand that you may be trying to do it now, but you can't get things to work right now. The activation is coming very soon. Some of the customer benefits, of course, robust data management capabilities with an easy upgrade path to PDM Professional. That's important to understand because one of the things to consider is the migration from Workgroup to PDM, be it PDM Standard or PDM Professional. This, if you get integrated with PDM Standard, it's a simple upgrade path. Really no migration is needed per se. It's just simply upscaling it to the Professional package. Much like the Professional or previous ePDM, Enterprise PDM, it has a nice low learning curve because it is integrated with Windows Explorer. It has the plug-in for SOLIDWORKS and so on. People are up and running with this product very, very quickly. Low cost of entry, of course, because with the PDM Standard product, as I mentioned before, it's part of the SOLIDWORKS Professional and Premium product lines. Okay. The new product offer is based on the SOLIDWORKS Enterprise PDM, which is now the PDM Professional. It's included in the Professional Premium package. Same Windows Explorer interface. If you've seen PDM Professional, what used to be EPDM, it's nice integration with Windows Explorer, makes it easy to use for users. Again, short learning curve. Same database structure. In this case, I want to express, though, it is using SQL Server Express Edition, not the full SQL Server Standard Edition, which comes with the Professional. Express install for SOLIDWORKS Installation Manager to include the archive and database server services and so on, as well as SQL Server Express. Essentially what that statement is trying to convey is that all of the installation procedures, both for SOLIDWORKS and PDM product here, is now integrated with the single installation manager. So we don't have to do separate installs for SOLIDWORKS and for EPDM. There's not separate downloads and so on required as was in the past. And once again, easy upgrade to PDM Professional. No migration really is required. It's simply upscaling it. And as I said, it's a viable replacement for Workgroup PDM. And I thought it important to outline some of the differences, and we'll touch on that in just a second. For SOLIDWORKS Standard, I wanted to outline some of the product matrices real quick. And this you can find on the web. Of course, if you go to SOLIDWORKS and you go to the PDM products, you'll see this option to look at the matrix. Very quickly point out again that all license types are included, editor, contributor, viewer. SOLIDWORKS and draft site add-ins are included with the standard product, so you'll have the tasks pane where you can actually work within the vaults and so forth. It is limited to one workflow only, 10 workflow states within that workflow. It's also limited to 2 revision schemes. You can have an alpha and a numeric, for instance. It's got integrated search tool only, so there's no standalone separate window search tool as you have with the Professional package. And another big difference is, of course, it uses SQL Express, not the SQL Standard product. SQL Express is a free product. It's installed as part of the installation with the PDM Standard. What is not included? Important to perhaps outline again when we're talking about the differences between Professional and Standard PDM. Multi-site replication is not included with PDM Standard. And again, this is aligned much with the Workgroup product. That product does not have any multi-site replication either. With Standard, there will be no SMTP notifications available. So you won't be able to send emails essentially to clients as, say, you submit for release or submit for approvals, things like this. But there is internal, shall we say, database notifications. So when the client logs into their Vault view, they will get the notifications that way. Okay. Also not included with Standard are the tasks, which have become really popular. Capabilities for, upon release, publish a PDF or e-drawing, or perhaps create an IGES file of a part file for a CNC or something like that. That's always been pretty popular, and that's not included with Standard, as well as API or any custom add-in capabilities. So it's pretty much out of the box, just using the out-of-the-box PDM Standard products themselves. The tailoring and customization of the workflow and what states you want and so forth are, of course, something you'd want to do when you set up and install. There's also a limitation to the Preview tab. It does not have multiple document type preview. It'll preview SOLIDWORKS files, DWGs, PDFs, things like that. But generally it doesn't handle the over 200 and something different file types that the Professional version will. Also, it's limited to no serial number generator. So you can't do any automatic numbering, if you will, like you can with the Professional package. And there's a few other things, but I just wanted to make the point that when you get the SOLIDWORKS PDM Standard product as part of the SOLIDWORKS Professional or Premium, there are limitations. It's mainly just single site, small work group, and it manages the files very, very well. Okay. What about Workgroup PDM? That's a big discussion, of course. There are a lot of customers, users out there who have been and still are using SOLIDWORKS Workgroup PDM. It's important to understand that Workgroup PDM will be and continue to be part of the SOLIDWORKS Professional and Premium installs and solutions for 2016 and 2017 releases. Support, however, for Workgroup PDM ends with SOLIDWORKS 2017. There will be no longer any support or availability for the Workgroup product when SOLIDWORKS 2018 is released. So customers with separate Workgroup PDM licenses, I want to make sure this is clear, can upgrade those to Workgroup PDM Standard, or I'm sorry, SOLIDWORKS PDM Standard. It is important perhaps to get in touch with your reseller. Give us a call and we can help you work out that alignment, okay? Also, it's a pretty interesting implementation process, and you may want to consult with us, the reseller, to help migrate you from the Workgroup product to the SOLIDWORKS PDM Standard. There is a tool that we can work with you on that to align your Workgroup perhaps life cycles and so on to SOLIDWORKS PDM Standard states and so on. So there's a migration process that needs to take place, and that's what you'll need to get with us on to assist you with that, okay? As far as Workgroup versus Standard, I thought it important that we try to outline some of the differences, and I know that some people may not be using Workgroup and may only be using folder structures, file folder structures and shared directories on a server. And they might be asking themselves, would I want to go with Workgroup PDM or now start using the PDM Standard product? So I thought it important to outline some of the differences. First off, the interfaces are similar, particularly with the SOLIDWORKS plugins, add-ins. There's an available task pane tab that you'll be able to interact with each product. There's also an important difference between the data structure. With SOLIDWORKS Workgroup PDM, it uses text files on the back end on the server to store the metadata, the managed data, if you will, for the files, the products, the projects, and so on. It's not a true database, so there has been, of course, some discussion on the robustness of that product. PDM Standard, as I've said, uses SQL Express on the server side, and it's much more robust, far better in querying and managing that data. With Workgroup PDM, there has been an availability of what's called life cycles to manage sort of different status identifications for different files within the Workgroup product. Within PDM Standard, you'll see that we have that workflow capability, which gives us a much better flow charting capability, if you will, in flowing that process of approvals and so on, checking and things like that. What we find in Workgroup PDM as well is, I don't want to say a limitation, but a somewhat limited read-write permissions. You can have read permissions or read-write permissions to a given project and folders and files. Within PDM Standard, you'll see that there's a much broader user/group permissions capability, covering everything from the ability to read the files in a given state to checking them out, deleting them, and so on. So it's a very much robust product given the permissions that might be required for your local work group and so on. So that's just a few of the differences. I think suffice it to say that you'll find that PDM Standard is a bit more robust, having the SQL backend, albeit SQL Express, it'll be more, I think, aligned with the ability to then upgrade as well to the PDM Professional package. So how about talking about here some enhancements within the PDM product itself. For 2016, there were some improvements. They introduced and included PDF file plugin capabilities. Acrobat Reader is now supported. The actual Acrobat Reader is supported in the preview tabs and so on. This is something that's important to understand. The PDF files themselves, as it's been, shall we say, improved and enhanced over the years with the 3D PDFs and the ability to have fields, if you will, in the PDF. Having this PDF file plugin within ePDM, again PDM Professional, we can now have the ability to fill in, if you will, those fields by writing custom properties to the PDF file, something we haven't had available to us in the past. So we can map those custom properties to the data cards and so on. And I think that'll be benefiting quite a few folks who use PDFs as far as filling in information and forms and things like that within their organizations. We'll talk a bit about a few of these other improvements, improved user interfaces and experiences here. I think the first one I want to really highlight for you is the new set revision. Increment revision is the previous function, and I think it's really been improved and has become much more a capability for folks to migrate files from their folders, structures that they're managing them on folders and files, to bring them into PDM and have those revisions synced. Something that we've done in the past with some database updates, if you will, or queries, or possibly improved that by using some plugins of sort. This gives us much better capabilities. Another enhancement within PDM 2016 is the expandable sortable columns. You'll be able to sort those columns much easier. Another great enhancement, I think, the move and rename warning. Within the SOLIDWORKS interface, it's always been an issue, so I'll try and highlight some of that. Some of the other things that we talk about, resizable thumbnails and Web 2 enhancements and indexing. I'll touch on, maybe just touch on the resizable thumbnails and so on in just a minute. And there's also been some really nice system and performance improvements I'll highlight towards the end here. The biggest of which is the integration, if you will, with the installation manager. Just having the ability to install SOLIDWORKS and PDM products in the same interface, I think is kind of huge and will save a lot of time for administrators and IT professionals when they try to roll out products. Okay. So first of all, the PDF file plugin, as I said before, it's going to allow us to read, write, and display SOLIDWORKS PDM data card information directly to the PDF file itself. This, as I said before, is very important to understand. So if we have the description, we have the approved buys and approved dates, if there's fields in the PDF, they can be updated by writing this information to the custom property of that PDF, and that field then be linked to that variable, if you will, that custom property. The display property information in the form fields, of course, and again, better support for customers' workflows so that as we release a document or check a document, we can map the updating of those properties through the data cards and through the variables down to the PDFs and so on as part of the workflows. So a nice improvement, I think, for a lot of those folks who work with PDFs, extendable PDFs, if you will, within their organizations. And once again, nice integration, higher level integration with the Acrobat Reader product itself, the application. This gives us better support for viewing those PDFs, be it 3D PDFs. If you happen to be using the MBD product within SOLIDWORKS, you'll be able to view those through the preview tab instead of having to open them perhaps as a separate window and so on. So this again is just PDM Professional only, just keep aware of that. Again, the standard product is limited as far as the files and file types that can be previewed. Improve user experience, and this is the important change that I think is going to be a huge improvement for folks who are migrating from the standard folder file management into a PDM environment. One of the issues we always deal with is those files that are coming from that folder structure perhaps already carry with them certain revisions like Rev F or Rev D and so on. And how do we get those revisions synced, if you will, when we bring them into PDM? As I said before, there have been workarounds and different methods, if you will, that we've employed, but now users will have the simple ability when they copy paste these files in, check them in for the first time, to perhaps use the new set revision function. This allows for updating the revision variables along with the revision counter, and that's the big part of it. The revision counters need to be synced. Better support for legacy and, of course, imported data. And if you don't mind, I'm going to jump over here real quick to a folder, and I'll try to show you that just briefly here. So here we have Vault View. Let me make sure it's updating. There we go. And I'll browse into this folder, and I've already copied and pasted these files into this folder. I've checked them in so they're in that current work in progress state, process state. Selecting these files, I can use the new set revision function in 2016. Bringing up this interface here, I don't know how easy it is for you to see that, but essentially the columns that are important here is the new revision, and it's reading the property or the variable from the data card here. So you can see this first one shows the data card has the variable or custom property set to E for revision, but ePDM, having seen this for the first time, will want to set this to Rev A as we add this to PDM. Well, now what we can do is select all these files. This one here in particular I'll remove from the selection list since it doesn't have any revision. And we can actually tell SOLIDWORKS PDM to set the revision according to that variable value on the data card. So in doing that, you'll see many of these columns, now these rows, show yellow, indicating that they're going to be updated. The card will be updated, the variable on the data card will be updated, as well as syncing the counter, the revision itself, to highlight and maintain that same revision. So as I click OK, once that's finished, just to highlight the important change here, you can see it had D as this revision here for this file. And if I look at the history now, you can see where it's actually synced the counter to identify it as revision D. And the next revision release will go to E and so on and so forth. This has been something, again, that very important process when we migrate to PDM, and this makes it much simpler and easier for customers, users, and so on to manage it for themselves very quickly and easily. So a pretty quick and simple enhancement that I think everybody will take advantage of when they go to 2016. Expandable, sortable columns. So that's important to perhaps understand that different areas within PDM, be it in the Contains tab where you use tabs, but also in the Checkout, Check-in, Change State, Copy Tree, and Get, if you do a Get Latest and so on, Get dialog box, you'll be able to sort those columns. And just to take you to that interface very quickly, I'll do it over here and go to the Contains tab. So here you can see the Contains tab, and if I wanted to sort by configuration name, you'll see I just click the columns. So it's pretty similar, familiar interface, sorting alphabetically, of course, as we see in any type interface, be it any other kind of application. So I think this will be very familiar to folks working with that very easily, sorting those columns. The move rename warning inside of SOLIDWORKS, just to explain the scenario briefly, oftentimes people are working on an assembly, an upper level assembly. Another user working on a part could rename it or move it to a different folder. In the past, the user who has currently opened this assembly had no idea that was taking place. And what would typically happen is a local copy of this file would remain in that folder where it was previously located for the user who had been referencing it or had this assembly open. And this caused a lot of issues. As the user opens the assembly again, it might still find that old local copy in the same location for that user, and references could be misaligned and so on. So with SOLIDWORKS 2016 and PDM 2016, SOLIDWORKS users will now receive a warning message letting them know that the following file has been moved or renamed, and allow them to update that reference, again, preventing any out-of-date references from being used or saved and so on. So it's a great change, a nice enhancement, might be a real benefit upgrading 2016 PDM. Another change in the interface, customers have been Customers have kind of been asking, can we change the file names or rename a component in the assembly at the feature tree level? Now, sometimes this has caused issues, of course, in reference to and sort of keeping PDM up to date. Now, in 2016, in the feature tree within an assembly, the file can be renamed pretty easily that way through the feature tree. And what will happen is it will verify, first of all, that that file you're trying to rename is checked out to you, whether you have proper rights to do so, and then it has that warning about renaming, and it'll repoint and update the reference again once it's been reopened. So again, the main goal here is just making sure that all the references are maintained properly should we be renaming any files, be it in EPDM, Explorer interface, or through the SOLIDWORKS interfaces. Okay, so a really nice improvement. This perhaps just a nicety, but again, one of the nice options and enhancements was the previews inside of EPDM have been improved to allow you to show different sizes of the preview image or thumbnail. So just very quickly, I'll show you that within the interface here. As we hover over these parts in the Contains tab, you can see little preview windows popping up, and you can right-click here and change the thumbnail preview size from small, medium to large. So it's entirely up to you if you'd like to see a better image of that, or if you want to just keep it small and have a small preview, it's entirely up to you. And this is nice because it's simply by user or per user option. So it doesn't affect everybody in the company, it's just whatever you feel like viewing. Nice, quick, simple change enhancement there. So just a couple more things as we start to wrap things up. System and performance improvements. Let me touch on a few things. Again, I think one of the greater enhancements is that all of the installations are now simply integrated with the installation manager. All the SOLIDWORKS PDM products, be it standard or premium, you'll find, or professional, I'm sorry, you'll find them available to us through this interface, standard installation manager. Easy to deploy PDM clients by including the SOLIDWORKS installation manager. It's just part of the asset list now, so it's going to be very, very simple, very quick to deploy. As far as system performance, highlight a few of those things that you'll find to be much better. Get tree. Oftentimes when you do a get and so forth, you can see that the dialog box on large assemblies dealing with large vaults can take some time to open. You'll see that 40% faster. The add-in, the tree itself, when the add-in, the plug-in, the task pane updates, they'll be 3 times faster. On search, the integrated search will launch 5 times faster, and these are all tests on a test machine, of course, test environment. So again, they say the results may vary, but when you start to see some of the working within the 2016 environment, I think you'll find some of the performance enhancements. Maybe you don't notice, but I think you'll find them to be much better. The file version upgrade tool displaying broken references is going to be a lot faster too if you happen to be working with that tool. Again, we're talking about general performance. Notification processing has become about 400 times faster, which is great. The check-in with lots of configurations, if a file has a lot of configurations, and that can happen with some of the off-the-shelf or standard parts libraries and things like that. They say it's 180 times faster. So when we talk about change state, again, when we want to do a change state, we often will update the variables or set variables. When it's doing the change state, it's going to be 2 to 4 times faster in getting that accomplished. And if you happen to be working within the API, the new get is going to be 3 times faster for us here. Again, results may vary, and again, it's based on the test environment that they are performing there. So as we start to wrap things up for this CAD chat, I hope that you've been able to understand there's been a lot of changes, some changes product lines. An important one to keep in mind is Workgroup PDM is still a product that will be part of 2016, 2017, but come 2018, it's no longer going to be supported, no longer going to be a product as part of the installation. Just want to ask, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to use that panel, the questions panel that you find there in the webinar control panel, and I'll try to address and answer any questions you might have. As I just want to point out, again, if you have any questions or need support, feel free to email support@progressiontech.com. You can call the toll-free number 877-967-5780, and extension 2 is our support extension. Someone will be able to provide you some assistance. If you want to get a hold of sales, extension 1 should be able to get you some sales support. You can also email sales@progressiontech.com. You can go to our website, and a lot of opportunities to set up or schedule your attendance for next event, which is going to be November 6th, where we're going to do some simulation tips and tricks, and the next one after that will be November 13th, where we're going to talk about Toolbox. So just some of the upcoming events available, our next webinars, and if you're at all interested, please attend. We always like to see everybody. And I don't see any questions coming in. Anybody have any questions on the products, on PDM in general, that I might be able to address as we are together? And we just hit 10:30 now, so good timing. No questions? Maybe I'm not looking at the right panel. Nope. Nope. Yeah, it's questions. Okay. Well, let me just take this opportunity to wish you all a happy and safe Halloween. And if anybody has any questions, feel free again to email me if you'd like, jcolvin@progressiontech. Let me just go back here to the beginning where my email was. There we go, jcolvin@progressiontech.com. You can feel free to email me with any questions you might have, and hope you have a great weekend and a happy and safe Halloween.